The Mind Tech Podcast, episode 15, for June 27th, 2013. The Away Mission. Mind Tech Podcast, episode 15, coming at you. I'm Gareth Davies in Los Angeles, California. Once again, I'm joined by Joe Ressington in London. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Gareth. How's it going?
It's going. It's starting to heat up a little bit over here. The weather's getting warmer, a lot warmer. How about
same
you?
here. Only it's gone from being freezing cold to all right.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Yeah.
So I noticed that you got some World War Z going on, or is it Wait, how do they say that? Now the movie is advertised as World War Z, right?
It's like a pun on World War III, isn't it?
Right, but are they over there in the UK? Are they saying World War Z in cinemas from Friday?
Well, I don't know. I don't even own a television, so I wouldn't know. No, I presume it just flashes up on the screen, maybe.
But they don't say Z?
Well, when I said one for World War Z, please.
Really?
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
But some people say Z. Because we have Sesame Street, and it's brainwashed all the kids to, doing the A, B, C, D. Incidentally, just completely random fact. The ABC song is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Oh, yeah, it is. Huh? That's right.
Yeah, I realized
Twinkle,
one day.
Twinkle. Yeah, it is true, yeah. There's also like a rumor that the birthday, the happy birthday song, Happy Birthday, that's copyrighted. And like companies can't use that in their slogans and stuff, so they have to like pay for it.
Yeah, well, it's that's a long story, the happy birthday thing. And
is it true, though? I don't know. Is it true, or... I don't know whether it's true.
It is under copyright still, yeah. If you use it, you have to pay a shitload of money.
Because over here in the States, right, every family-orientated restaurant, and it's probably the same in London too, but in every family restaurant, if you're sitting there with your family and the waitress or the waiter comes over and you say, hey, it's so-and-so's birthday today, all the waitresses and the waiters come over at a certain time during your meal and they sing a happy birthday song.
Yeah.
Right? But they can never sing the standard happy birthday song. So they make up their own.
They do.
What?
In the UK, they just sing the normal
they do. Song. Oh, not over here. They have their own stand.
Really?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
That's very strange. Well, it's like Stevie Wonder wrote his song to try and
countermand the.
Yeah, to try and make people.
Well, the Beatles too did the birthday. On the White Album, they did the birthday song. Their own version. Yeah. It's kind of rocking.
But
anyway, back
World
to
War
tech.
Z, then.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, it was all right. It's the only thing is that for me now, having watched so many hours of The Walking Dead, anything with zombies is judged against that now.
Right.
And the thing with The Walking Dead is all the zombies, mostly it's all makeup.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Rather than CG. And you occasionally get bits of CG and it's just really obvious.
What about in the movie, though? Well, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you this, because I haven't seen the movie. I mean, I plan to, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet. Mm. The zombies in the movie, are they zombies?
Well, they do use the word zombie in the movie.
Okay.
But they're the fast-running zombies rather than the shuffling ones.
But are they like reanimated corpses, like dead people?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of central to the plot, the climax of the plot.
Because I wasn't sure about that. I thought, because the way that they were playing it in the trailers and everything, I thought it was just like, oh, they're going to spin it to be some kind of like disease that messes with people and stuff, or some kind of chemical thing, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, at first they all thought it was rabies, because at the very, very beginning, during the opening titles, you get the news reports and stuff, and it's confirmed cases of rabies, and that's what everyone thinks it is to start with. but then it becomes apparent that they are the undead, and it is pretty straight up zombie, and it's you catch it from being bitten, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay. So it's legit zombies then, because I wasn't sure whether they were going to like fool with it in some way. So that's kind of reassuring, actually.
Yeah. Well, the zombie purists would say no because they run really fast and stuff, but you kind of the two types of zombies, aren't there?
They did in the remake of Dawn of the Dead. They kind of made them fast, which made them kind of more terrifying in some ways.
A lot more terrifying, definitely.
Because the slow ones, like the classic zombies and like the zombies in The Walking Dead, they're only dangerous if there's a lot of them. If it's just one or two, you can just push them out of the way or run past them. But if there's like a bunch, then you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the ones that run, it's like even if there's one or two, you're done.
Yeah,
it's a lot more scary.
I think it's set in Philadelphia, the first bit of it. Or I think it's Philadelphia, and it's kind of in the big open square there or whatever. And there's people running around, and then whenever there's any zombies, it's just really obvious CGI to me.
Oh, really?
And just all the zombies are CGI, and it's a bit like I Am Legend, where they were CGI, and it just sort of stood out. And I don't know what the budget for this was, but they didn't spend enough on the CGI, I don't think. And also, because it was a 15 certificate here, I don't know what the equivalent is there, it wasn't as gory. Like, it was more implied, like, right, in The Walking Dead, where they proper, like, smash their heads in and stuff.
Yeah.
And you see it all, and blood flying everywhere. It was more implied, like, it would cut up to, you'd see someone's face as, Brad Pitt with his gun or whatever, smashing someone's head in, but you wouldn't actually see the head getting smashed in. So
it would like, cut away.
Yeah. So that's a good thing for some people, I suppose, who don't like to see all that. But what's the point of a zombie thing if you can't, see the extreme gore? But what's really interesting about it is, two things. He finds out that in North Korea, they stopped the outbreak really simply by, in 48 hours or something, they pulled the teeth out of every single person in the country.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You don't see any of that, but it's just someone casually says that. But then it turns out that a few days before all this happened, one country built a wall around the whole country to keep everyone out. And because they saw it coming somehow. And so they were all safe inside there. Guess what country that was?
I have no idea. What country?
Israel.
Ah.
So that's obviously like a thing about the old Palestinian wall. And you've presumably seen the trailer where they're all climbing up the wall and stuff. All the zombies are kind of climbing over each other.
Kind of very insect-like in many ways,
Yeah. But that all starts because some Palestinians are singing too loud inside the walls of Israel. So it's kind of quite overtly political, I suppose you'd say. But yeah, overall it was quite good, I suppose.
So is it sequel fest? Is there a second one coming up, or is it? Don't spoil it for me. I don't want to know all the major plot details. But is it leading up to part 2, or is that it?
Well, I hadn't even thought about that until you said that just now. But yeah, they've set it up. Yeah, he's kind of saying this isn't the end. This is just the beginning.
Right. Because that was my
easily set up for a sequel.
Yeah, because that was the thought. Is like, is this going to be like a one-off where at the end they kind of wrap it up, or is it like game on for World War Z Part 2? Or
it could go either way, really, depending on how much money it makes. You would imagine.
Yeah,
it could. You could see it. It was wrapped up pretty after a fashion, but it wasn't. It was open enough, I think, to get a sequel.
Okay. Well, no, I really want to check it out now. I was kind of on the fence because the trailers kind of made it look kind of stupid. But from what you've heard, what I heard from you right now, it sounds like it might be actually a decent movie. You have an update on last week's show about Windows 8.
Yeah. Because I've been looking at laptops and e-readers and stuff, more on that in a second. This week, I spent a bit of time in Curry's big electrical shop.
Right.
And I had a quick go on a Windows 8 laptop. And, it turns out that the 8.1 leak that I had isn't much different at all from Windows 8, really. So that the last week's look at that. Well, I'm not calling it a review, really. It's just a look at the leak. Turned out to be really just Windows 8.
So what you were basically reviewing then was basically just the standard Windows 8 that's available then, not 8.1, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was labeled as 8.1, and I think it was slightly different, but it was. I think it was a very early development release, and as 8.1 is only an incremental release anyway, it's not hugely different from Windows 8.
That's true.
So yeah, it's not much different. But to be honest, I think there's a live event, Microsoft unveiling of it now officially. I think as we are speaking, in fact, and it looks like they are going to bring a start button, but that start button is just going to do the same thing that it did in Windows 8, which is bring you back to the start screen rather than the start menu. So it seems that they haven't really...
Yeah, they should really give the users the option. I mean, if you're a Windows user and you love the whole Metro interface, you should have the option to use that full-time. And if you're not into it and you want the classic start button menu, you should have the option to go back to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you do have the option. As we said last week, there's Classic Shell and some other ones as well.
Yeah, you can. There's add-ons you can install, but still, you shouldn't have to do that. Box, right? But well, it is what it is. Windows 8 blows. Let's be honest.
Well, I'm going to actually check out Windows 8. Hopefully by the weekend, because I've ordered a new laptop for my girlfriend.
All right, let's hear about it now. Now I gotta know. You said you Windows 8. Is your girlfriend going to be Windows 8, or are you going to format that drive and put some Linux on it?
Well, as I always say, it's always worth keeping Windows around because some things don't really work very well in Linux.
So
like printing, for example, is very hit and miss.
Well, I have a kind of update on that. We're gonna talk about it in the main feature of the show. So remind me to tell you about Windows Linux. Stuff.
Okay. But the bottom line is that we're going to dual boot it.
Okay.
Like with our main desktop, that's kind of my girlfriend's more than mine, really. She uses it more than me. Because she does Photoshop stuff and some other art stuff that uses proprietary programs that you can't get in Linux unless you use Wine, which is too much fuck about.
Yeah.
So, we'll keep Windows on there as well as Ubuntu.
So tell us about what kind of laptop you're getting. You're getting like an Ultrabook or big desktop replacement? What's the story?
Well, it's not really an Ultrabook. It's, I think, what they call a sub-notebook. It's the size of an Ultrabook, but not quite the spec of it. It's a lot cheaper than a proper Ultrabook. It's an i3 something U, so it's an Ultrabook i3. So it's a low-power i3. And it's a 11.6-inch screen, so it's quite small and Ultrabook-ish. It's called an Asus VivoBook, and the thing is, it's also got a touch screen as well. Yeah, but you don't have to use the touch screen. I thought, well, I could get... There was another one I was looking at, which was 70 quid cheaper, but it was made by Acer, as opposed to Asus or Asus or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And I know that Asus is a good make. I've got an Asus laptop. This is replacing an EPC that she used to use, which is just past it. It's too slow.
I'm not a fan of the touchscreens. And from everyone I've spoken to that has a Windows 8 touchscreen, when they initially get it, they use it a lot, but over time, they never use it ever.
Yeah, but considering we're going to keep this for a while. And I'll probably stick various Linux distros on it and whatever. I thought, why not? It's a little bit more. It's an Asus, which I know is a good make.
It's like touchscreen laptops are like 3D TVs. You know?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
it's like a goofy little feature that no one really gives a rat's ass about, and nobody's going to use it unless you're like a fucking mental case for touch or 3D or whatever. 99.9% of everyone who has a touchscreen laptop will use it for the first week or two, and then that's it. You're done. Like with the 3D TV, like, and then you wear the glasses, and then after that, you're like, fuck this. I'm putting these dopey glasses on to watch a fucking movie. Fuck that. Turn this shit off.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like I went to see World War Z in 2D, there's no way I would pay extra for 3D. I've never seen a 3D movie in the cinema. But yeah, we'll see whether the touchscreen comes in handy or not. I mean, it was still a reasonable price for that spec of machine anyway, even without the touchscreen.
Yeah.
So even if we never ever use the touchscreen on it,
Still a good deal.
still a reasonable deal. Yeah.
All right. What else you got coming up? Got any other cool gadgets coming your way? Because I got nothing.
Well, also, we bought a Nook Simple Touch.
Ah, okay.
Which is
wasn't there
like a Kindle.
Wasn't there a great deal going on those or something recently? Or?
Yeah, £29.
Oh my god!
And it's basically a touchscreen Kindle.
And you can can't you like jailbreak it or something and put Android on it?
No, it runs a very, very modified version of Android.
But you can get rid of that,
root it
right?
and fuck with it if you want to.
Yeah.
But why? The thing is that the e-ink screen, it isn't suited to anything else other than reading books.
Oh, I see. Okay. So it's not the color one then. It's just the standard.
It's not a tablet or anything. No, it's an e-reader.
It's a reader. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's still a good deal though.
Yeah, considering that the Kindle is a lot more than that.
Right.
It was a lot more than that. The Nook, what's it called? Nook Simple Touch. But yeah, it's pretty good. I don't read so good, so I don't really read much. But my girlfriend does. So
I don't read so good.
I don't read so good. What you reading for?
What you reading for? So I don't have to be a waffle waitress.
All right, Dan.
Exactly. But yeah, I had a quick go at it, and it's pretty good. It's not a very exciting bit of technology because it's just makes reading books a lot easier.
Yeah, so you can carry a ton of books with you wherever you go, right? On this little tablet, which is pretty cool.
It's got an SD card slot, so I've got various micro SD. So I put in a 2 gig card, and how ebooks are so small that it's never going to fill up pretty much. Or even if it does, I've got an 8 gig card.
Thousands of books on it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see about that. It's pretty well built and pretty solid. And if you want an e-reader, then yeah, I would definitely go for it because it's £29. You can't go wrong.
It's a great deal. I'm sorry, it just popped into my head. One, please, for World War Z. Yeah, sounds so fucking crazy. World War Z, please.
Well, that's cool.
World War Z. All right. Let's see. Next thing you'd be calling HTC, you'd be saying HTC.
No, never.
H.
Although the war is lost. Don't get me started on that. For those people who do say H, well, fuck you. Basically, it's not H. It's H. It's like you don't say mem instead of m.
Excuse me. Could I see your HD TVs, please?
It really annoys me. But almost everyone says that now.
Do you have a HDMI cable?
Yeah, a HD rather than an HDMI. And you can tell by when people write, and even if it's typed out in comments or in a thread somewhere, you see some. I used
the weirdest one though, dude. The Britishism that sounds very weird to my ear is like the H and all that. That's fine. It's a little strange, but not too bizarre. But the one that really is like fucking fingernails on a chalkboard is router.
Really?
Oh, God. Well, I'm setting up my router. I'm like, fuck me, speak English. What's the matter with you, router? What the fuck is that?
Okay, well, answer this question then. When you drove from wherever it was back to California,
yeah,
you looked on the map and you drew out a
route.
Oh, well.
No, I'm kidding. Route.
Exactly. And what does a router do? It routes.
No, I know. I understand all
information
that.
Around.
Dude, trust me. I hear what you're saying and I understand. It just sounds horrible.
Fair enough. Well, funnily enough, in the building game, there's a carpenter's tool called a router, and it's spelled the same way.
Same way.
I don't know, it's just a carpenter's tool anyway.
Yeah.
And so we do have the word router, but it's a different thing. So may I remind you that you are speaking English. English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
English. I don't know nothing about English. I speak American.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Not funny, haha, funny queer. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, actually, I should say this.
All right, Dan.
Should we do some news?
Yeah, go on then.
My Tech Podcast. Here's some news. Edward Snowden's got an encrypted insurance file. According to Glenn Greenwald, Edward Snowden has an encrypted insurance file stashed with several trusted people that will be decrypted and released if anything happens to him. Modern crypto has lots of ways to accomplish this, including partial key escrow, in which a bunch of encryption keys are distributed to various parties. The individual keys aren't sufficient to decrypt the file, but a quorum of them are. For example, you can release a key to 10 people and configure it so that any 3 can, in combination, unlock the file. I found this fascinating. I was unaware of that. Did you know anything about that?
I'd heard about that before, yeah. It's pretty advanced crypto to be able to do it. But yeah, it's I knew it was possible, stuff like that. But it is an interesting thing that you can do it, and it must be relatively straightforward to do it. But man, I am so sick of this Snowden cunt, man. Like, he thinks, all this running around on planes, sending journalists around, and
he said,
and all this,
he's supposed to,
if anything happens to me, I'm going to release this. If you're really interested in freedom and shit, fucking release the files anyway.
Well, I mean, he's playing with his life in many ways, right?
Well,
but
he didn't.
Here's what gets me about it, and I to some degree, I agree with what you're saying. It is getting a little fucking crazy. But here's what gets me: every news company, every mainstream media news organization, they're all fucking mental with Edward Snowden. Edward Snowden this, Edward Snowden's girlfriend, Edward Snowden, he's on the run, we're trying to get him, blah, blah, blah. And no one's talking about why he's on the run, and no one's talking about what's really going on. They're all talking about him. And that's the disturbing part. Fuck Edward Snowden. You know, who cares where the fuck he is? Who cares what he's up to? The thing that should every news organization should be blabbing about and digging into and researching and finding out what the fuck is going on is the fact that the government is spying on people. That it's up your fucking ass reading and watching everything you do.
Yeah, but whose fault is that? Is it the media's fault, or is it his fault for encouraging them and going on like he's been going on?
What's the media's
trying to become a celebrity?
It's the media's fault.
I think that it's a bit of both.
They're going after the messenger, not the message.
Yeah, but he could have remained anonymous. He could have anonymously leaked that stuff.
That's true too. He could have. Yeah. Well, for a while at least. I mean, I think ultimately.
Well, I mean, they would have worked out who had access to that stuff or whatever. But it seemed to come out very quickly who he was, and he
did it on purpose. He came out and he spoke to the guy at the Guardian. The thing that drives me crazy too. There's a lot of mental cases over here in government. There's one senator who's saying that he wants the Guardian, the Guardian reporter arrested and prosecuted. It's like he's out of his fucking mind. He should be arrested and prosecuted for even fucking verbalizing that retard thought.
It strikes me that Snowden fancies himself as a Julian Assange, and he wants to be this sort of celebrity leaker, whatever. And it's becoming like the fucking X Factor, America's Got Talent of leakers, isn't it? Who can... Let's put them all in a house and vote them out and shit.
Well, we need more. We need more people to fucking come out and... there was a great graphic floating around the internet. I think I posted it on Facebook or something, but I found it somewhere where it says, the Congress breaks the law every day. The government breaks the law every day, spies on Americans, disregards the Constitution. That's considered normal. Then he comes out and tells everyone about it, then he's a criminal. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Shouldn't that be backwards? What the fuck is going on here?
Well, exactly, yeah. But this story has been done to death, man. I was bored of it last week, and now I'm just annoyed by it. I just don't care what he's up to, and And as you say, the news outlets should be focusing on what he
right, and that's telling.
What
to
he
me,
leaked, not
exactly.
Who cares about him?
Exactly, and for me, that's telling. That I remember on the first couple of days after all this broke, every news organization was talking about his girlfriend and how he got hired, and he dropped out of college and his grades weren't that good, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Why is that even relevant? Who gives a rat's ass? That's meaningless. But that's
exactly
what they're all focusing on,
Yeah. Well, should we move on from that and talk about your first love then?
Okay.
Yeah. So the next one then, Apple TV adds HBO Go and watch ESPN.
Did you just say HBO?
Yeah, I said that as a joke. Both HBO and Watch ESPN require Apple TV users to have paid for the channels through a cable or satellite subscription. So I won't bother reading any more of it. So what's the story then?
So there's a service, because HBO is like a huge cable network, has been since the 80s. They show all the big movies, and they have tons of original programming, like TV.
Sopranos.
Yeah, Sopranos, Game of Thrones, ton of shit. And they make their own movies, they make their own TV shows, they do some great documentaries, and they have great output, put it that way. It's a great channel. And this channel's always been available on cable and satellite systems, and you have to pay for it.
With no adverts, though, right?
No commercials whatsoever. Zero commercials.
It's like BBC style, only you have to pay for it.
Right. So they came out with an app. They came out with an app for the iPad, the iPhone. I think it's on Android, too. And this past week, they released the app for the Apple TV. So when you fire up your Apple TV, you have a little HBO Go icon. You click on that, takes you into HBO Go. And you have everything, pretty much every TV show and documentary they've ever made on demand in full HD.
Nice.
And their current lineup of movies that they're showing on demand in full HD. And it works incredibly well. And when I set it up this week at home when I've been fooling with it, and for me this kind of really reeks of the future of television.
Well, it's the Netflix model, isn't it? So it's the on-demand. You just pay a certain amount a month, and then you have all the content that you could have, rather than some scheduler saying you should watch this at 9 o'clock and that at 10 o'clock.
So you watch whatever you want whenever you want to watch it. And everything is available in perfect picture and sound quality, ready to go. And it really is, it's a joy to use this. I've been catching up on Game of Thrones this week, and it's amazing. I'm absolutely loving HBO Go on TV. Here's the kind of crazy lunacy that's involved with this, though, is that when you open the app on Apple TV, you got to set it up. And the only way you can set it up to get it working is that it verifies that you have an HBO subscription with a cable or satellite provider. So
how does it do that?
So you have to have a paid subscription with the cable source. In other words, you have to be purchasing HBO from whatever your cable or satellite provider is. And so when you go through the menu and it says setup, and it prints a randomized number and letter, like a 6 or 8 character code, right? Mixture of numbers and letters. And it says, go to this website, HBO Go/activate. So you go to the website, and then you choose your device, and choose Apple TV, and then it gives you a list of all the cable and satellite providers which are opting in. You then choose your satellite provider, and then you log in with your username and password for your online billing for that satellite cable provider. Then you enter the code that's on the television, and then it all just works. So there's multiple steps you have to take.
But you have to be subscribing on your TV, on your standard TV.
Right.
And how much is it per month then for HBO?
It varies. It varies because if you sign up for HBO, you get like 6 or 7 HBO channels, and all these channels basically show the same stuff but at different times. Whereas with HBO Go, it doesn't matter what scheduling there is or whether there's a million channels or just one, because everything's available. You just pick and choose what you want to watch. So it's a really good service, and I really wish that HBO would just cut out the fucking middleman and just say, look, $10 a month.
Yeah.
And then you could just go to the satellite provider or the cable provider and say, you know what, cancel my subscription. But they don't want that, which is why we're locked into this retard, old-fashioned, stupid fucking model.
Well, thank God for the iPlayer is all I can say.
Yeah, right. You know? But it like, if I could get an iPlayer app on Apple TV, dude, I'd be like a pig in shit. It'd be the greatest, but it ain't happening. So whenever I watch iPlayer, I have to pull it up on my iPad or my iPhone and then AirPlay it to the TV, because there's no native app for it. I mean, it works fine. I can watch everything on the TV, but it's all through AirPlay.
Okay.
Which is a shame. But
I thought you were going to say you plugged the laptop in, but I suppose that's too old school.
Yeah, that's too 90s, dude. That's way too 90s. That's way too Linux.
Well, that's the way I do it. Cables everywhere. You should see all the cables around.
Yeah, I hear you. I used to do that way back when, but no longer. All right, let's see what else we got going on here then. Okay, this one is kind of interesting. This is a UK-based story, but still interesting to many of our international listeners. This is the other hacking scandal. Suppressed report reveals that law firms, telecom giants, and insurance companies routinely hire criminals to steal rivals' information. Suppressed official report accuses respected industries of hiring criminals to steal rivals' secret. Yet an official report into their practices has been suppressed. Some of Britain's most respected industries routinely employ criminals to hack, blag, and what's blag?
What's blag? Like to get into a nightclub, for example, you blag your way in there.
So bullshit.
Kind of. Yeah, I suppose.
Hack, blag, and steal personal information on business rivals and members of the public, according to a secret report leaked to The Independent. The Serious Organized Crime Agency knew 6 years ago that law firms, telecom giants, and insurance companies were hiring private investigators to break the law and further their commercial interests, the report reveals. Yet the agency did next to nothing to disrupt this unlawful trade. Dude, you know, it's like institutions and governments are so fucking corrupt. It's not even funny. They make, organized crime and like the mafia and all these triads and all this stuff. Those guys are like fucking kindergarten kids playing in the fucking sandpit compared to the rampant illegal nonsense that goes on in institutions of power.
Yeah, of course. And if you read the whole article, you'll see it starts talking about the Masons and about how they're known to let me see if I can quote it exactly. One particular method identified was to become a member of the Freemasons, which has been repeatedly linked to corruption in the police and judiciary.
It's unbelievable.
Which is quite rare to hear that said so overtly.
Yeah. I mean, everyone in hushed tones behind closed doors, this stuff is common knowledge. But for it to be put out in the open it's a little bit of a rarity.
But it's Leveson. The Leveson inquiry was a big public inquiry into the phone hacking scandal, where some newspapers paid private investigators to hack into the voicemails of various celebrities, and including a murder victim. And so there was this big public inquiry, and evidence about this was submitted to the inquiry, and they didn't publish the evidence until it was leaked this week, even though that inquiry started 3 years ago or something.
Yeah. Everyone is in everyone else's pockets.
Well, yeah, everything's backhanders, and
Everything's a scam. Everything's a racket. Everyone's up to no good. Everyone's dealing, it's all deals in the back rooms, under the table. It's like, but the more and more this stuff comes to light, from my perspective, one of two things is going to happen. Either there's going to be rapid and rampant revision of policies, and people are going to go to jail, and there's going to be prosecutions, and we're going to get things back on track and try to be as lawful and correct as we possibly can. Or this is all going to be continued, bumped up a level, and we're basically fucked.
Well, the thing is that you think of third world countries, Africa, South America, that kind of thing, and it's just assumed that those countries are really corrupt. Whereas we have this some people in our countries of the West have this naive view that, oh, well, that's just those, those faraway countries in the third world, and they don't realise. But the more dealings you have with these kind of people, the more you realise that the whole world is just corrupt. People are just fuckheads.
Totally. And I mean, I've talked about this on the Mindset podcast also. It's like, I have two small children. You raise your children, to be truthful and honest and tell the truth and be good and, respect people and all this, where I think I'd probably be better off teaching them to be lying fucks, to
teach them how to deceive people.
Yeah, deceive people, lie at every turn, do everything for yourself, fuck everyone else, and they will be enormously successful in this life.
Yeah. Exactly. I presume that's what these rich Illuminati people teach their children.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Well, maybe, yeah.
It seems that way. Deception and thieving. That's the way of the world. And that the higher the pyramid you go up, the more commonplace it is.
Exactly.
That's so fucking depressing.
It is. So, let's not get too depressed. Let's talk about your first love again. Well, it's not really, but the headline is iPhone bag blocks cell signals just like airplane mode.
Yeah.
So it's the Block It. I won't read it out, but it's not necessarily just for iPhones, but it's basically a radiation-proof bag that you can put your phone in.
It's basically a little Faraday cage for your phone. It's just like a little sack that you just he said sack, and you just drop your phone in there, and your phone can no longer receive or transmit any information. It completely blocks all electromagnetic radiation.
This article says, why not just use airplane mode?
Right, because this article is a bit naive and a bit fucking stupid, but the bag itself is pretty cool. Now, with Android, BlackBerry, dumb phones, whatever, you can just pop the back off, take out the battery, and it's game over.
Not with my phone, you can't.
Well, the Nexus is following the path of the iPhone, where you cannot remove the battery. Now, if we all know that modern smartphones are basically surveillance devices, right? Regardless of what brand of smartphone you have, it is basically a surveillance device that you can make telephone calls on. But if you have a BlackBerry or an Android, and you're going somewhere or doing something that you do not want to be surveilled with, you can just pop off the back, take out the battery, you're good to go. With an iPhone or a Nexus phone, you cannot do that. Now, in this article, it says, well, just turn the phone off. Well, you'd think that would be okay, but that's not necessarily true, because the battery's still in there, and even though your phone may give the appearance of being off, it may be far from that.
Take for example, in airplane mode or aeroplane mode, you can still make emergency calls,
sure.
911 or 999 here.
Exactly. So even turning off your phone doesn't necessarily turn off your phone. Hence, along comes this cool little bag where whether your phone is on or off or whatever the case may be, you pop it into this bag and it is essentially invisible. It cannot send or receive any data whatsoever. And I think it's a good idea because, there's going to be times where you want to have your phone with you, because remember back in the 90s when phones really started to get popular, people would have phones with them, but they'd never use them. And you think, well, why do you have a phone for? Well, it's just for emergencies. You never know, Whereas a bag like this literally does put your phone back in the just for emergencies mode. So in other words, you could slip your phone in this bag, go do whatever you got to do. Nobody can track you, right? Nobody knows where you are, what you're doing, who you're talking to, whatever the case may be. But if there's an emergency or something comes up and you have to use your phone, you just slip it out of the bag and make the calls, send the tweet, do whatever you got to do.
It'd be a lot cheaper to wrap it in tinfoil.
Yeah, you could do that too, but
or you could wrap this around your head and stop the
you could do that
stop
too.
the radio waves, man.
But an iPhone in tinfoil, I'm sorry, but that just won't work. It's got to look cute.
Yeah. No, but Ben, our friend Ben Emlyn Jones, he could wrap one of these bags around his router to stop the wireless signals.
Yeah. The tinfoil tinfoil does the job. Yeah, you can wrap it in tinfoil, but that's that's not. I think I would definitely buy one of these bags, but I wouldn't wrap my phone in tinfoil.
It's a little bit tinfoil hat, isn't it?
Yeah, tinfoil hat. But I think it's a cool idea, and I seriously think about getting one of these little bags. All right, what else we got? Let's see. Let's do a final story here about ham radio. I've always wanted to be a ham radio guy. Have you ever thought about getting a ham radio?
Not once, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's not really. I grew up sort of mobile phones. When I was coming of age, mobile phones came of age with Snake and all that. So I had walkie-talkies when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But ham radio, I don't know, it was always that little bit too nerdy, I think. Well, it's for truck drivers and taxi operators.
That's CB and stuff, but ham radio it's pretty cool. I've always wanted to do it, but I've never, bought any equipment or taken a test. 'Cause you gotta get certified to get
you gotta have a license. What's all that about?
Yeah, I know it's a bit mental, but hey,
you've got to know Morse code and
I know that's ridiculous.
And all that alpha.
I think they might have changed that. You might not need to know Morse code anymore. I don't know, but I know for the longest time, the part of the test was you had to know Morse code, which is a bit mental. But hey, what are you going to do? But the FCC is considering a proposal for encrypted ham radio. It says the FCC is currently processing a request for rulemaking that would allow the use of amateur frequencies in the U.S. for private, digitally encrypted messages. Encryption is a potential disaster for ham radio because it defeats its self-policing nature. If hams can't decode messages, they can't identify if the communication even belongs to a ham radio. A potentially worse problem is that encryption destroys the harmless nature of amateur radio. There's no reasons for governments to believe that encrypted communications are harmless. And then it gives a website for you to see more information. So it's kind of showing, and this is a valid point, but the military and the government encrypt radio signals, constantly. They're constantly sending highly encrypted radio signals back and forth all over the world, consistently. And I think that if you're so inclined to do so, you should be allowed to do so. There shouldn't be any laws to stop you from doing that if you wanted to or not wanted to, whatever the case may be.
I don't really know enough about ham radio really to know what frequencies it uses. Does it use the same frequencies as the police use and stuff?
I don't believe so, but you do have a wide variety of frequencies. I know that you used to, I don't know if you still can, but you used to be able to, ham radios all over the world used to be able to monitor space missions because they had access to the same frequency range as like the Apollo missions or the space shuttle missions. And they could literally monitor every communication made from space to Earth, Earth to space, whatever the case may be. But I believe that from the mid-90s on, those communications have been encrypted by NASA so that while they can listen to the and all that stuff, they don't know what they're saying.
We don't know whether they're talking about aliens or not.
Well, if you want to go there, we certainly can.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it. It's not really the usual topic of our show.
Well, yeah, there's a famous space shuttle mission in, I think it was 93 or 94, around that time. And, you know, they used to label the space shuttle mission STS, so the number of the mission would be STS-39 or STS-100. And there's one called STS-48. That's STS-48. And this is searchable, so if there are any listeners out there that want to go ahead and dig around and take a look, you certainly can. But up until STS-48, all communication between Space Shuttle and NASA was unencrypted and out in the open. So anyone with the correct equipment on Earth, whether it be a ham radio or whatever, they could quite happily and actively monitor the communications quite freely. What happened on STS-48, and this is the big controversy, and I'm sure we'll have listeners who will think that what I'm about to say is a bit mental and a bit tinfoil hat, was that video was also broadcast and unencrypted and easily watched by people with C-band satellite receivers on Earth, and was recorded. So there were space enthusiasts with the big C-band dish in their backyard, and they'd have VHS recorders hooked up to this big C-band receiver, recording all of the NASA transmissions. They'd just be putting in tape after tape and hitting record, whether it's just benign nonsense or part of the mission, whatever. They record everything. And some footage was recorded that was very controversial and pretty spectacular, actually. And what they recorded while the space shuttle was over Australia was some pretty amazing UFO activity, where apparently, looking at the footage, it appears that some craft were flying around, not the space shuttle, over Australia, and something from the Earth's surface shoots up and attempts to shoot down this craft, and misses. And this made, world headlines. It was released, and people talked about it all over the world, and it was a big controversy. And then NASA said, no, it was just ice fragments moving around when we fired the thrusters. And then some physicists got involved and took the footage and did some amazing calculations as to why it absolutely 100% is not ice crystals moving around. And from that moment on, all transmissions from the shuttle to Earth were encrypted, and every shuttle transmission from then on that was released to the public was vetted through NASA first.
Yeah, I've just been looking on Wikipedia, and I had a quick look on YouTube, but it was just really blurry and shit, so I stopped watching it. But it seems that there's a fella called Philip C. Plate who wrote a book called Bad Astronomy, and he agrees with NASA that it was just ice. So who knows? I'll have to check that out and get back to you on that. Yeah,
take a look. I mean, I find the footage compelling, and there's a lot of information out there, and maybe it is just a random coincidence that, after this big controversy, we'll encrypt everything. But up to that point, everything was wide open, free for anyone to tune in and have a look, but not anymore. So, interesting stuff, to say the least. Shall we move away from the tinfoil and maybe take a break?
Yeah, go on then.
You can now hear all of the Mindset Central podcasts while on the go with the Stitcher Smart Radio app. On-demand news, talk, and more on your mobile phone. The latest episodes at Mindset Central are always available for you. No syncing needed and no memory or storage wasted. Available on your iPhone, iPad, Android phones, and beyond. Downloading is easy. Go to Stitcher.com or check out your app store. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to MindsetCentral.com.
You're listening to the Mindset Network.
Parrot Talk, an intimate discussion on all things strange. This is a show where more questions are raised than answers are given, and things sometimes really do go bump in the night. Hosted by Reeves Cook and Gareth Davies. You can listen to Parrot Talk at MindsetCentral.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Gareth from MindsetCentral.com. Just coming on really quickly to talk to you about subscribing or donating to Mindset Central. Right now, we average about 17 brand new podcasts a month on Mindset Central, and that's for free. So you get that content for free. It always has been free, and it will continue to be free. But just take a moment to imagine the time and the effort it takes to put all that together, plus also creating, building, sustaining the website and the server costs. We're constantly finding ourselves reaching the point that sometimes is the breaking point, and we're up against that old foe of time and money. And we're hoping that with your help, we can break through this wall. Not only do we want to continue with Mindset Central, but we want to build upon it and create something very special on the internet. So please think about helping us and becoming a subscriber. By becoming a subscriber to Mindset Central, you'll have access to the subscriber section, which provides exclusive, all new podcasts and a lot more. The subscriber section has and will continue to grow into an area that you will want to be a part of. And with monthly access priced at that of a large coffee at Starbucks. So for one coffee, you get access to the subscriber section, packed with content that is continually added to on a weekly basis. So please help us. Help us by becoming a subscriber. Thank you. And we're back. All right, Joe. So main feature this week is on this past weekend, I went on a Mind Tech away mission.
Did you have your red shirt on?
Indeed, number one. I went to a hacker meetup, a hacker conference, which is organized by hack5.com. I don't know if our listeners are familiar with this. It's a fairly popular hacker video. I was going to say podcast, but it's not accurately really a podcast because it's video. It's a weekly video show by this dude named Darren Kitchen on the Revision 3 network, which is like internet television kind of thing. And I found out of it a little while ago because he's doing this thing called Hack Across America, where he's got this van that he's customized, put solar panels on the roof of the van. Very, very cool, actually. In fact, it's really fucking cool. And he's driving across the United States to all these hacker spaces and meeting up with people who are like, hackers, into technology, whatever. And he was coming to L.A. this past weekend. So I thought, what the hell? I'll go check it out, and I'll go over there and have a look around and see how it goes and see if it's cool or not. Turned out to be very cool, actually, and I had a really good time. And I recorded a bunch of stuff on audio. I interviewed a couple of people and recorded the Q&A. So this guy, Darren Kitchen, he showed up and he gave a presentation on privacy and security and the internet, and talked obviously about Edward Snowden and what was going on there. He didn't want anyone to record the presentation, so nobody did. But after the presentation, there was a Q&A, and he didn't say anything about not recording that, so I did. and I asked a couple of questions and got some interesting responses. It was a very cool meetup. There was a bunch of people there, all hardcore computer guys, hackers, tinkerers, pulling things apart, finding out how things work. And the hacker space was called what was it called? Crash Space, I think, in Culver City. And I went there, met a couple of people there, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really good.
Yeah, by the way, it's hack5.org. HAK5.
H.
Yeah, HAK, the number 5.org.
.org. Yeah, and they post some pretty cool videos there about security, privacy, hacking, reviews of hardware and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool site. It's good videos. It's the Hack Across America stuff is really fascinating. If you guys do go and check out their site and their shows, check out the videos on how they set up the van, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. So what I did was I met a bunch of people there. I didn't interview everyone, of course, but I did interview a couple of people. And two of the people that I pulled to one side and talked to and recorded was Vegard from Norway and Buddy from Southern California. So let's have a quick listen to this conversation I had with them, and then maybe we can comment on it. So here we go. Okay, so I'm here with Vegard from Norway, who has flown all the way to Los Angeles just for the Hack 5 meetup for no other reason whatsoever. And he's studying computer science right now. So Vegard, being a European and hanging out in the U.S. for a couple of months, have you noticed any major differences as far as internet content, privacy, security, and the like?
Not really.
Is it as open in Norway as it is here, or vice versa?
Yes, it's as open here as it's in Norway. It is in Norway as well. So.
Well, do you have any thoughts on the Edward Snowden PRISM expose?
Yeah, I was not surprised. I was not surprised that they stored data. So I've been waiting for it. Yeah.
It's interesting. Maybe we got Buddy here also. Buddy from you're a native Californian, I'm assuming.
Yep. Yeah, I am.
And you're a developer.
Yep.
What do you develop for?
I do a lot of Node.js, some Go, some PHP when I have to. I'm a polyglot.
Okay. What are your thoughts in regard to the PRISM scandal that's just in the last couple of weeks?
I'm not at all surprised. I think the idea that he's committing espionage and is somehow harming or aiding enemies of the state is ludicrous. He's a patriot as far as I'm concerned.
Hero,
yeah, without doubt.
I would agree. I would totally agree with that. Now, you mentioned that you're not surprised. And do you think it's kind of ironic that this is something that everyone has suspected for a very long time? In a way, the fact that the government has been harvesting data has been a conspiracy theory for a long time that has finally become conspiracy fact.
Yeah, I mean, we've known that they've been building a data center in Utah. That's something that's been widely available. It's been suspected that it's for this purpose, and now it's just confirming it. And yeah, I've definitely have had people respond as if I'm some conspiracy theorist, like, oh no, the government's is stealing or keeping track of all our data and our communication online, and it turns out they actually are. So yeah, it's not surprising, and I'm sad to say that it's not surprising.
That's true. Being from Norway, I'm assuming you're in constant communication via Skype and the like with family and friends back home.
Yeah.
Have they expressed an opinion as to what's been taking place?
They are not surprised either, and my dad actually is. I think people are very naive that if they didn't think they were doing it, and other than that, they have not really said anything. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And no doubt we'll be talking more on this subject very soon. Thank you. So those were like the two main guys that I talked to. I talked to a bunch of other people there also, but didn't really get a chance to pull out a microphone and stick it in their face. But did you have any thoughts on that conversation?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. The Norwegian guy obviously wasn't 100% with his English, so he was struggling a little bit. But the other guy, the coder fella, the developer, he was interesting. It was interesting that they were both just not surprised at all, and also that the Norwegian fella said that back home no one's surprised, and that you'd be a bit naive to think that stuff wasn't going on anyway.
Well, that was the angle that I was going with, and I threw that in there, was the whole conspiracy theory, for years this was a conspiracy theory, Like, 5 years ago, if you'd said that, the government is watching everything you do and harvesting all your information, you'd get, that look, the crazy look, the people snickering and laughing, but it turns out to be real.
Yeah, certainly among some people you would, and especially the skeptics with a K, they'd say ha, as if there's no evidence for that, whereas now there is clear evidence of it. And was it this week on the it must have been this week on the Mindset podcast, you were talking about conspiracy theories becoming conspiracy fact, and if this one was supposedly just a theory and then it turned out to be true, so what else could
exactly
what else of the tinfoil hat? Well, we're going really tinfoil hat this week.
A little bit, yeah. But it's true, though, because there's so many, theories and speculation out there, which, could be true or could be nonsense, whatever. But most people would roll their eyes and think it's crazy until it isn't. Which, and this kind of, this Edward Snowden deal really does, from my perspective, it kind of hammers that home. Because for many, many years, you bring this kind of subject up, and you're openly laughed at and thought of as a tinfoil hat-wearing crackpot maniac. But it turns out to be completely true. So what other crazy conspiracies out there are, in fact, in reality, completely true, but are currently laughed at?
Yeah, it's a good point. So presumably these guys were all quite hardcore hackers and real tech head geeks, so obviously they all had Macs then, yeah?
Yeah, all Mac users. No. They were all, in fact, everyone I spoke to ran Linux, but to varying degrees. Out of all the people I spoke to, there was only one person that ran Linux exclusively 100% of the time. Everyone else was varying degrees. Obviously, if they were gamers, they would be running Windows for games and Linux for everything else. A lot of people, they would keep Windows around so they could pop into Adobe and use Premiere to edit video, or Photoshop to tweak with photographs. A lot of people say that they use Photoshop, but they can't get the hang of GIMP, the photo editing tool on Linux. That it's not as good as Photoshop, which I kind of disagree. I think it is probably as good as Photoshop, but there is a big learning curve. If you're used to using Photoshop and then you go to the GIMP, well then you're going to go back to Photoshop because that's the tool that you're familiar with.
Well, I've actually, interestingly, I got reasonably good with Photoshop, and then I decided I'm not going to boot into Windows to do my stuff, so I tried to force myself to learn how to use GIMP, and I can do your basic things: cropping, resizing, a bit of image, you do the brightness, contrast, that sort of thing. But when it comes to if I wanted to design something like a website, I'd have to use Photoshop still. I just, as good as GIMP is, I don't know. I think what it is, if I'd never used either, then it would be as easy to learn either.
Sure.
But having learnt one already, it's too different, I think.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I found, is that pretty much everyone there was running a distribution of Linux, but in conjunction with Windows. They couldn't really give up Windows. There was only the one person I found who was 100% Linux 100% of the time, and in fact it was Buddy, the guy that I interviewed right there.
Right.
He ran 100% Linux.
Did you get into the specifics of what Linux people, which distro or whatever?
No, not really. I didn't really go down that path, but they were all running a different flavor of Linux. Buddy,
I just would have been interesting to see what desktop environments were popular.
Yeah.
And
When I talked to Buddy about it, he also had he was one of the few that actually encrypted stuff and was well up on encryption also. What I found unusual too is that when I asked people, there was a point where we were all sitting around a table, and I said to everyone, I said, okay, how many people here use encryption? And I went around, do you use it? Use it? And 90% of the people there said no. Don't use it.
It's like me. I never use it because it's just too inconvenient.
Yeah, it was the convenience factor. And once again, the guy I spoke to in the interview, Buddy, he was the only one that said, yeah, I routinely use encryption and encrypt my stuff. And then he actually pulled out his car keys from his pocket, and he had like a little thumb drive on there, which was an encryption key where the only way you can access his passwords in encrypted folders is if you plug this USB key into his computer.
Oh, right, not even with the password. So you need the hardware.
You need the hardware to plug in. You plug in the USB key, and then you can type in your password to decrypt things.
I hope he doesn't lose his keys then.
Yeah, I know that would be messed up. And he said he bought it. I should have made notes. It's a specific service, and he said the key cost him about $35. There's a site online, and it's purely for security and encryption. And I should have written it down or something, but I totally spaced on what it was called. But it was fascinating nonetheless. The other thing I did was the question and answer session after the presentation by Darren Kitchen, which I recorded, and I'd like to play that now. And you can hear me ask a few questions. I liked what you said when you heard it, that things only got good when I asked questions. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of humdrum. He was just saying, the stuff he said was good and it was valid, but when I asked the questions, I deliberately tried to mix it up a little bit and kind of get some kind of response out of him. And I think I succeeded to a degree, but not completely. But anyway, here's the Q&A. I've tweaked the sound as best I can. Sound quality isn't perfect, but it's definitely listenable. So here we go.
Really cool use of it, but yeah, we'll have to chat more about that because I'd love to hear what it takes to actually do that. The only thing that I'm familiar as far as like bouncing off the ionosphere is like HF radio. But again, the FCC mandates that you register with the government, be issued a call sign that you have to identify yourself with, and you can't say certain things over or gifts.
You think they refer to near vertical incident skyway?
Bunch of words. Need to figure out what those
that's
are.
Where you use HF frequencies for regional communications,
sure,
as opposed to long distance by aiming them upwards towards the ionosphere.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well, the nice thing about the ionosphere is it does a really good job of allowing you to bounce signals around. So potentially, I mean, and in this nation, if I were to get licensed, I could talk to Tibet. And that's cool because that tells me that there's a technical feasibility of doing that without using, how do I talk to Tibet now? How do I talk to anyone? Well, I get on the internet. And my packets go through this network and then that network and then the other, and then it goes through backbones. And who are the backbones controlled by? Well, MCI, NSA, AT&T, NSA, AT&T, the NSA, and there's other guys. The NSA.
I guess my last comment has to do with, okay, so they have these licensing procedures and certain things are illegal. The question is, so what?
I don't believe in okay. So what is true, and I hear this a lot. People say, I see people with like ham radios, handheld radios, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool, you're a ham. And they're like, no, I just use it. And I'm like, okay, more power to you. I'm a good Boy Scout. I have the utmost respect for the law. I don't necessarily always agree with the law, but I feel like in a civil society you have to at least respect it. And so this is why I feel like innovation, that's where innovation comes in, because there's ways to create a global mesh network that is actually lawful everywhere. I just don't know how to do it yet.
Well, I mean, that's impossible. There's some countries that just say you cannot broadcast, so it can't be lawful.
Exactly. So you have to operate outside the law. And the question is...
no, you either have to operate outside the law, or sometimes you have to change the law. And this is why I was very excited to go to the ITU and have like an hour-and-a-half conversation with the Secretary General, Dr. Torrey, about this, and actually be the hacker spokesperson in this. I don't think it's, not an easy thing to change.
That attitude towards obeying the laws is all well and fine, but everyone knows that major changes only occur when people either exercise civil disobedience or ignore the laws, and then the laws have to change whether or not people do it. So it's not going to change through Congress because I did a lot of work in the Part 15 Coalition, and I actually managed the first, unlicensed wireless trade group in front of the FCC for years, okay? And it's not going to change. You have too much power and incumbents there. They're not going to permit it. So it's just naive to think that you're going to somehow get what you want, somehow through a legal process. We'll all be dead before that happens. They're not going to allow it.
That may be the case. And, we could create a awesome Los Angeles, network pretty easily with off-the-shelf gear using, unlicensed stuff without having to register and without having to, you break the law. But there is that problem that you can't cross Kansas. So it's just too far, right? Without, becoming a telephone company, without becoming part of the system that or at least I so despise, because then you've got to comply with CALEA and all of these other things. Whereas there was a telephone company that tried to create an MVNO, and their concept was, we're going to do like crypto end-to-end, right? And all of our subscribers will be able to talk to each other end-to-end with crypto. It's going to be awesome, right? And so we won't even know what bits we're passing. How cool is that? And so they were like, we're going to do it legally, we're going to register with the FCC, we're going to get this license, we're going to go through all the red tape, right? And then they were like, wait a second, but you're going to, of course, put in the back door where we can listen in, right? And they're like, no, that's our whole model, We're going to be like the hacker network where like people that care about their privacy will be able to like buy our phones. And they're like, oh, well, that's not going to work in our nation. So, yeah, it is a big discussion. And I'm happy to have it, we can continue this at the bar as far as that's concerned, because you're right, Arab Spring was a great example of, how the revolution isn't necessarily lawful.
Right.
Anyone else?
I have a quick question about Arab Spring. Using the internet there where they shut it off, isn't that kind of a double-edged sword also?
You shut it off and your country gets overthrown by citizens.
Well, I know, but if it only works if the revolution is a success. Mm-hmm. If the government retains control, all of those messages, all of that put on the internet is just a way to track down those individuals a lot quicker and faster than otherwise.
And that's why we're in such an infancy right now, and I don't claim to have answers for any of this stuff, but I do know that I feel a sort of nationality towards the internet. I grew up, pre-internet on BBSs, and I grew up with this mindset of like my friends were all international from the get-go, so I don't see the borders as much as the previous generation, and with that mindset and with the tools that say Phil Zimmerman in 1991 PGP, things of that nature will help enable true anonymity. I believe that anonymity is a core pillar of the internet, because you can't have, say, if we were in a, if I want to speak about my oppressive government, I don't want to get killed, which many people do. In fact, people get tracked down for using Tor and disappeared, and that gives me the chills.
Well, there was a Slashdot article this week, I believe, where they mentioned that the NSA is going to be specifically singling out people that they notice use Tor and encryption.
Yes, so that was part of the PRISM stuff that came out. Basically, the NSA, if they accidentally acquire domestic intelligence, they can keep it if it's encrypted, because that might mean it's something interesting. Right. And so by using things like PGP and Tor, you're more at risk to be targeted, which puts the wrong kind of message out there, because then that makes people think like, oh, well, I've got nothing to hide, so I'm not going to use crypto. I'm of the belief, I'm a bit of a crypto anarchist, but I believe that you should encrypt everything from your cat photos to your tax statements, because with signal to noise like that, anybody ever see Dualcore, the rapper? You should. Anyway, this rapper friend I have, Nerdcore guy, 80 of Dual Corp, github.com/int0x80. He's got an anti-forensics tool which will fill your hard drive with encrypted volumes. Needle in a haystack. I love anti-forensics. So yeah, it's crazy, fucked up 1984 world we're living in right now.
You mentioned a lot of stuff there, which I agree with 99% of everything you're saying. But are you an anarchist?
Can I get a beer later?
No, because you're talking about a lot of concepts
I'm a very conflicted individual because I'm a hacker, I'm a capitalist, I'm an anarchist, I'm a good Boy Scout, and I don't want to get disappeared, and I love our nation. So I don't have a good answer for you right now. Maybe up the live stream.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for coming out here. This is an awesome turnout. Everybody get a hack pack. There's a challenge coin which will get you to a Hack 5 darknet. By the way, the feds are probably on the darknet too, but I encourage everybody to come and join because the challenge coin was a lot of fun to put together, and I think I'll have a lot of fun learning things, cracking it, and a little bit of it's actually pretty cultural and historic than anything else. The kinds of clues and everything that are in there, and it's just it really. It warms my heart to see all of you guys. Raise your hand if you've been to this hacker space before. See, that just makes me so happy because it is so cool. Look around. After this, we should totally get a tour and find out what's going on at this hackerspace because this is a safe place to come and be a nerd, a geek, a hacker, a dork, and do that. It's so cool that we have these safe places. And actually, when we talk about social networking, this is the original social network, right? The Homebrew Computer Club, the Chaos Computer Club, the Cult of the Dead Cow, LOD, MOD 2600, BBSs, DEF CON meetup groups. Ultimately, it's humans that make the internet so great. It's all you guys are coming up with the trolling and the memeing and all of that other stuff. The internet would really be boring without, us cool hackers. And so, I thank you guys profusely for coming out here. I did not ask to be in the position that I'm in. I'm just a hacker that started writing, text files in the 90s and then started a thing, and then suddenly there's this weird hub and spoke model. In fact, you wouldn't believe it, but I'm a huge introvert. And I get nervous before going to meetups. And it is so much easier to stay at home than go outside and deal with the Daystar because it burns like the fire in Network. Okay? And so, with that, if I leave with anything other than the fact that we need to continue the conversation about internet freedom because it fosters this kind of stuff, this kind of interaction, like I was talking about that guy in Johannesburg, South Africa, that couldn't come to Seattle. It enables that outside of the human connection, but I feel like ultimately it is about a human expression, and if I leave you with anything other than how great the internet is, it is that sometimes it is easier to stay home, and sometimes it is easier to not talk about these things. And I wanted to kind of bring awareness to this organization. Is anybody familiar with this? Well, you might be familiar with the Signal. That is the glider from Go. And this is actually the logo for bluehackers.org. And I'm not the only one that was probably personally affected by the suicide of Aaron Schwartz. Don't mean to end on a downer, but it is really easy to stay at home and not come outside and deal with people and human interaction. Computers are fun that way because we can stay in our basements and we program them to do whatever we want, and they do it. And if we made a mistake, it's because we fucked up, right? But our culture is based on this interaction, this human interaction, and I know this because I've gone to enough ShmooCons, TorCons, DEFCons, DerbyCons to meet all of you guys and have this weird hub and spoke model. So if I can, impart anything into you, it is that these hacker spaces are safe places to be, to meet other hackers, and to actually have true human interactions and not just stay home, and that this is an okay place to talk about, what you're passionate about, whether it's politics or just, if you just need a friend. And so if you're looking for some more information, on things like, hackers and depression, because it is definitely something that has affected our community and continues to, because we're such, nerds are a lot of times introverted. This is an organization that has a lot of good talks and a lot of good, documents and a lot of good, it's like the hacker mentality applied towards mental health, which is not talked about in this nation. And so, so I encourage everybody to, if this isn't of need to you, or if this does, at least know this and know that this is a safe place, and that there are organizations like this. Okay, and with that, thank you so much.
So yeah, you can see that was a pretty good discussion, pretty good Q&A after his main presentation. His main presentation was he had like a big PowerPoint presentation on the screen, lots of slides and the like, and then he opened it up to general question and answers. One of the first things he said, though, which because I think that he was kind of alluding to Darknet, creating our own internet, because right at the beginning of his presentation, he basically asked, he said, does anyone in this room not have a home network? And, obviously nobody put their hands up. And then he said, well, you all have your own local networks at home. He said, what if we were just to connect all those together? We'd have a kind of internet, right? So it was going down that path, was how do we kind of bypass the big surveilled, massive corporation internet that exists today, and create our own.
And so he didn't outline how to do that then?
Well, he went over a few technologies, different kinds of technologies that could be used to do it. He talked about infrared and things like that. He was just kind of pushing it out there that we might not be there now, but this might be somewhere where we're going to need to go eventually, unless the political climate that currently exists is either radically curtailed, stopped completely.
Well, we already kind of are in this two-tier internet already. Things like the Silk Road, for example, or Silk Road, which is a Tor-based thing. Tor-based website where you can buy all sorts of things, drugs and weapons and shit. So we kind of already have that, I think, this, as I say, the two-tier internet. And it's just a case of more and more... Well, it's parallels with the original internet. There was only a few hardcore geeks on there to start with.
Yeah.
And then more and more people came along, and then Facebook came along, and then everyone else joined the internet.
Right.
And so it just seems logical, really, that you'd have that second darknet or whatever you want to call it.
Right. So that was the main thrust. I mean, I asked him on the spot, are you an anarchist? Because a lot of the stuff he was, spouting off or espousing was very kind of anarchist ideas. You can do this, but I can't. Who are you to tell me that I can't do this? And I agree with those principles and those ideals. But when I asked him, he was kind of cagey and went, "Well, I don't know." He said, "I'm very conflicted," which is, I get it. We're all conflicted with these things. We want things to be a certain way, but in reality, they're not. And it's interesting because later on when we all sat down and started talking, we were talking about encryption. And the gist was, if you use GPG, PGP, these are very secure. It'll take hundreds and hundreds of years for the NSA to crack these and all this stuff. And I think I brought up a valid point, because it did kind of stifle the conversation and make everyone look like, oh, okay. And the point that I raised was, in the mid to late 90s, when encryption technology was kind of really starting to catch on in certain technology circles, there were laws on the books where you could not export encryption technology to other countries, or not just software but hardware also. It was illegal to do so, and you would be prosecuted. And then around 1999 and 2000, those restrictions just kind of went away. And corporations and governments didn't really care anymore if encryption technology was exported or who had it. It didn't matter. And in my mind, that kind of told me that, well, they can break it. Because if they couldn't break it, then you understand why these laws would exist. If they can break it and they can get into anything, well, then who cares who has it? Right?
Yeah, I mean, that brings me back to what you were saying about the encryption that we have now. It will take the NSA hundreds of years to crack it. I'm very skeptical of that.
Yeah, I am also. I don't buy that at all. You know, when I said this to them, it was just all like, you know, that sound effects where like a record just goes and stops, you know, the scratch, or, you know, it was like that silence, and it was like, well, I guess so, because everyone in the, you know, this kind of crypto anarchy or the cypherpunks or whatever, they're very much like strong encryption. That's the only way we can stop this. If we implement strong encryption, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, yeah, that's true, but, you know, if the government wants to read your shit, they're going to read it. End of.
Yes, like the thing that we always come back to, they can always come around to your house and put a gun to your head if they really want to.
Sure. So, I mean, it was great conversations. You know, it was fascinating to get out and actually speak to people that are not going to look at you like you're a mental case for bringing this stuff up. I mean, obviously, there were certain avenues and certain angles that I did not pursue because I didn't want to get that look. So I did stay kind of mainstream in my conversations with them, but it was great. It was great to get out there and talk to other people who were passionate about technology.
Yeah, sounds like it was good fun. It's making me think more seriously about going to OggCamp this year, which is organised by Linux Outlaws and the Ubuntu UK podcast. It's a big unconference. This year it's in Liverpool again, which I know that the UK is a small country, and so there's no such thing as far away, but Liverpool's too far away, and it involves either driving loads or getting a train and stuff. But it's loads of mostly Linux geeks and just hackers generally get together and talk about stuff. So it's tempting to go and talk to them about this kind of stuff.
You should totally go and take a recorder or something and record it for the show. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. I'll have to see. It's in October. I think it's October this year or November. So we'll see if I can afford it and stuff closer to the time.
Yeah. So that was my hacking adventure. I hope everyone enjoyed that little insight and those clips. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad to share it with you. Let's do some feedback. So what we got as far as feedback, Joe?
Yeah, so someone calling themselves The Remora said, "Hey guys, I really enjoy the show, even if the Mac promotion drives me nuts." To which I replied, "You won't get any Mac love from me
ever." I don't think it's Mac promotion. I mean, I don't think I promote Macs. Do you think I do? I don't think I do.
Well, it's like the classic thing. I'm not selling them. These babies sell themselves.
But I mean, I don't think I'm like, you know, you must buy a Mac, get out there, spend money, buy a Mac. I mean, I don't give a rat's ass whether I buy a Mac or not. I mean,
it's everyone. You have decided that Macs suit your needs the
For
best.
me, that's when I'm talking. I'm talking about me, though. I'm not talking about you know. You do whatever you want.
And I have come to the conclusion that mostly Linux with a little bit of Windows suits me the best. So, yeah. But anyway, so he says, on your subject of your Prism discussion, Steve Gibson had a very interesting idea on episode 408 on how he thinks Prism works without any permission or knowledge from the companies involved. Is that at Security Now? Steve Gibson, I think, yeah. Yeah,
I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, it's on Leo Laporte's network, I think.
Okay.
Security Now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't checked that out actually. I should really.
Yeah, we should look into that. See what he says, but how that without any permission or knowledge from the company involved. Well, I don't know. Wouldn't there be some kind of legality there if the company wasn't aware of it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure how that would work. So, yeah, this is reminding me. I did see this last week when he made this comment. But yeah, I should check it out. Episode 408 of, I think it is Security Now.
Okay.
We'll check that out and maybe mention it next week.
Okay.
And then Ian M. Walker, as he calls himself on Facebook, said, since one of the... this was regarding my Windows 8.1 look. He said, since one of the main points of 8.1 is a return of some semblance of the old start menu, although we know now that that's not the case, it seems your version is nowhere near release and not worthy of a review.
Oh, my gosh, not worthy. We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. As for Aero, it took me all of a few days to stop missing the old start menu. I've used Windows 8 since beta. It is fast, secure, customizable, and can be integrated into so much. I still have Windows 7 on my old box, but only because the chip was too old for Windows 8. I much prefer Windows 8. And Joe, how can you give a review of 8.1 if you've barely used Windows 8? Well, to which I replied, much like Eric Cartman, whatever, I do what I want. So... No, it wasn't a review, really. It was just a look at and me talking some bollocks. So,
well, I mean, from what Ian says there, as far as how can you give a review of 8.1 when you've barely used Windows 8, I mean, he's absolutely right there. I mean, what he says is very valid. As to everything else he said, I think he's obviously very clearly delusional when he's talking about how great Windows 8 is. It's obviously shit.
Does he work for Microsoft, maybe?
I don't think so. But I mean,
it's fair enough. Some people must like it.
Well, I'm sure there's a tiny minority of PC users out there that love Windows 8, but the vast majority of them think it's shit. And it is. It's garbage, and it will go away, and Microsoft will change it, and hopefully their next version, maybe it's Windows 9, will be considerably better.
You never know. He also says, I have to agree somewhat about the slowing down of Android. I don't see it to the degree that old Windows systems used to, but I've definitely noticed it, especially on my tablet.
Right.
I've not seen this happen with Windows 8, thankfully, et cetera, et cetera. But, yeah, he seems to really like Windows 8, which is a bit strange, really, but each to their own, I suppose. It's like
Ubuntu
with Unity. Some people like that.
Right.
I think it's absolutely dog shit, personally.
Yeah,
but.
right.
And then some people would look at XFC and say, oh, this is like, well, you said it's like 1998 again. But,
yeah, it's true. I mean, each to their own. You know, some people have no taste, some people do. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. But no, we like the feedback anyway. It's good to hear that, as I always say, it's good to know that we're not just talking into the abyss and no one's listening.
And I'm sure that if Ian is in fact listening, he'll realize that I've just pushed several buttons, and he's probably chomping at the bit right now to call me all the stupid fucks on the planet, which is what we want to do, you know, get people's blood pumping through their veins.
Yeah. Although I must say that I suppose I do promote Mac and stuff a little bit. In that, the bottom line is, I would never recommend Windows to anybody. I'd recommend Linux to someone who's used Windows loads and understands a bit about how a computer works. But to someone who's new to it, you have to compromise and use a Mac pretty much if you can afford it. So.
No, I would agree.
But
also.
like I always say, it's whatever suits you the best.
Exactly. It's whatever whatever you need to do. If it works for you, then it works for you. But I would agree also. I would never recommend Windows to anybody. But I would recommend a Mac, and I would recommend Linux. So yeah.
I think another happy compromise is to keep Windows around for when you need it, and use Linux most of the time. That's the solution that I think is best. And it depends on what you want to do. If you are, like my mum, who just goes on the internet, just use Linux. You don't need Office and shit.
Well, you don't need Windows unless you're if you're a gamer, then you need Windows. Bottom line, and there's nothing else to talk about. If you are a hardcore gamer, you need Windows.
Definitely for the next couple of years,
right?
I would say
you need Windows.
That's going to remain.
But if you're not a gamer, then you don't need to use that shit.
Well, again, or if you are into pro audio work, although, to be fair, you can do that much better on a Mac, actually.
Right.
Like Pro Tools, for example, that I use. I've used it on Windows, and I've used it on Mac OS, and it is definitely better on Mac OS.
Yeah.
And I presume that Photoshop is the same, although I've not really got enough experience.
So I mean, I would recommend a Mac, and I would recommend Linux. I would not recommend Windows because it's a nightmare, painful, horrific thing to use. Yeah. Unless it's the only thing you've used, then you don't know any better.
Well, exactly. Better the devil you know.
Yeah.
But if you've got feedback anyway, if you think we've said something wrong, or you agree with us, or you think we're tinfoil hat wearing freaks, then mindsetcentral@gmail.com, or there'll be links to the Facebook group and the Google Plus group, although I've not used that yet.
Yeah, it's the Facebook group is very busy. Lots of stuff going on there. The Google Plus is relatively new, so it's kind of starting to form, but it's very few and far between. Whereas the Facebook is like there's always something going on in the Facebook group.
Yeah, or you can leave a comment on the show page as well.
Absolutely, yeah, you can always comment on the page. All right, then I think we've come to the end of episode 15 of the Mind Tech podcast. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Joe, once again for some great news, great comments, and great conversation. And we'll be back next week with more topics, more news, and more tech stuff. So until then, farewell, good brothers.
See you later.